Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Naughty Seal Podcast. I am your host, Scotty, as with me as always is...
Co-host Neil.
Yeah, co-host Neil. He promoted himself this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, here on, episode 4?
Something like that, yeah.
Episode 4, Season 1. We're not quite at Walking Dead level yet, but we're getting there.
No, but one day we will have season something and a half.
I think so. We'll be like at episode 15.
Yes. I like where we're going with this.
Yes. So anyway, my friend, what's new in the world of sports today?
Well, apparently, and this is a rumor, but it's Elliot Freeman, and he's usually bang on with stuff. The Leafs are shopping Jake Gardiner. What are they doing?
I actually looked into this when I heard about it, buddy. And I first heard it, the news break, when Elliot Freeman apparently mentioned it on, was it on Saturday Night Hockey?
Yeah.
So I looked into a few blogs from a few guys that I like reading. And I also found one from a Calgary Flames blog, interestingly enough. But it sounds like they're not actively shopping Jake Gardiner.
Right.
But they're taking a listen to what's out there, because obviously teams are kicking tires about Gardiner.
Sure.
Who wouldn't? And especially with, there's some teams that need mobile defensemen. Toronto has a few of them.
Everyone needs mobile puck-moving defensemen. There's a shortage of them league-wise.
And it's also common knowledge that Carlisle is not a huge fan of, I'm not going to say Gardiner in general, but the way he's playing.
Yeah. He's pretty much lived in the doghouse ever since Carlisle came on board.
Well, even in the preseason, Carlisle, because he's not, what am I trying to say here?
He's a button pusher.
He doesn't pull any punches, is what I'm trying to say.
No, he doesn't.
Preseason, they interviewed him about Gardiner, and he basically said straight up, he said, well, which Jake Gardiner are we going to get? The one from last year? Or are we going to get the one from last year in the regular season? Or the one from the playoffs? Because those are two completely different defensemen. Jake Gardiner in the playoffs was one of the main reasons we found a way back from 3 games to 1 down.
Now, the Leafs do hold all the cards here, because he's a restricted free agent. He can't just walk away for nothing this year. And I guess... But I just don't believe that there isn't more to this, because teams are always listening. I mean, the Oilers would listen on Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh would listen on Sidney Crosby.
True.
So, I don't know. I feel like Randy just went upstairs and said, Dave, what could we get for this guy? And Dave picked up the phone and looked, but to me, that doesn't mean they're going to trade him.
No, and you hear, there's rumors all the time that aren't just rumors, they're actual conversations that never come to fruition. Remember Vinny Lecavalier was a Leaf.
Oh my God! For like 5 years, that guy was going to New Jersey or Montreal.
Yeah, but at one point he was a Leaf. It was on paper.
Yeah, he was going to be a Leaf for what was that? For him and the 3rd overall pick for what?
Hoagland,
bag of pucks.
Hoagland, Caberlet, and a first and something else.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking this summer when they were talking about.
No, not. I'm talking the old one.
Yeah, way back.
Yeah. But either way, usually there's something to these rumors, and I don't know, I think part of it has to do with they really like Morgan Riley. Part of it might be that a couple teams would like to rebuild around maybe a guy like Jake Gardiner. Clearly has the skill. It's hard to say.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's not 19. He's in his mid-20s now. I think he's 24 years old now.
Yeah, but he looks to me like he just needs some NHL time and pedigree. Like, he might just need to play.
He is short on that.
That's when I watch him play, I think anybody with any hockey knowledge can watch the kid play and be like, yes, the guy clearly has crazy amounts of talent. He just needs to put it all together, and defensemen do take a little longer to develop, Scott. So.
Yep. Want to move on?
Sure, my friend. I'll go with topic 2.
Topic 2.
The Bulls' Derrick Rose feels no soreness after first preseason game. Are the Bulls a contender in the East now?
Are the Bulls a contender in the East? Here's the problem with saying contender in the East. No one is a contender in the East unless LeBron gets hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the Miami Heat, they are not the big 3 anymore. They are LeBron featuring, the RuPaul of big men, Chris Bosh, and a banged up, aging faster than you'd think, Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
And so I don't see anyone from the East knocking them off until LeBron, literally gets hit by a bus. And I think LeBron's walking this summer because, okay, he's going to have won 3 straight championships. He made a ton of money. He played with his friends. His friends are no longer good enough to be his role mates or, cast.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think, Derrick Rose makes the East more interesting for people in Chicago, but the only one who's really hurt by Rose coming back is the Pacers.
I don't know, Scott. I don't know. Do you remember 2 years ago when Rose was on par with I know that wasn't LeBron's best career year, but there was a point where
he was the MVP of the league.
Yes, and there was an argument that he not only was better that year, but he might be near as good as LeBron. Now, I'm not saying he is, because statistics don't lie and championship rings don't lie. But he definitely is a game changer, and he's one of the best in the NBA. Well, was one of the best in the NBA.
Sure, we'll see what he comes back with. He looks okay for now with one preseason game.
They have some talented guys. Like, they have some good big men there, too, that are a good supporting cast, like Noah, and I believe they still have Luau Deng.
I love Joakim Noah, okay? I don't care. That guy takes a lot of flack, I suppose is our new word.
For how horrible he looks when he shoots the ball, dribbles, breathes, all of the above.
And generally for his I grew up in France attitude. People hate that. I love the guy.
I just think he looks horrible when he plays basketball.
Well, he looks horrible when he walks down the street. Have you seen that hair?
Yeah,
it's not good.
I don't mean he looks horrible as in doesn't get points and rebounds. I mean just he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, but the ball ends up in his hands or in the basket.
Yeah.
But either way, I think they have a good team, and I agree with you though. I think the Heat are still the team to beat because LeBron is in a whole another class of his own, and the NBA is that one sport where one guy can say, this is my team, I'm taking the ball, and you can basically win a championship on one guy's back.
Welcome to the NBA.
It's the one sport.
CSKA just played the Timberwolves. The NFL has approved a 3rd game in London, and the NHL did not do the face-offs in Europe this year. Will they fall behind in the international market?
I don't think they will, because they generally do more all around internationally. There's the World Championships, the Olympics, the World Juniors, and the World Juniors in particular, because they've turned into almost the March Madness of Canada for hockey.
Yeah. Some people wake up at 4 in the morning to watch it.
Yes, we did.
Just say
that was fantastic. They even though with the World Juniors in particular, Hockey Canada said that they were going to make sure to go to European places for the tournament, not just Canada. There's other reasons to that as well, but they want to keep the game, alive and well in other areas too. And because hockey is such a versatile sport, as is basketball and other sports, I think their roots are pretty deep already. Did they maybe drop the ball by not going there and doing what they've been doing the last few years? Yeah, sure.
But here's my thought. So sure, hockey's staying on par, but the IIHF isn't the NHL. I mean, sure, no one's saying hockey isn't popular in Europe. But the NHL is trying to, they see what they perceive to be a big market over in Europe. The NFL sees it, the NBA sees it, the NHL sees it, Major League Baseball doesn't seem to care. But is that market even really there? Are they really ever going to make the same money they make here with their brand?
It's hard to say. Like, you hear a lot of stories about guys having successful careers in Finland, in Sweden, in Germany, in Switzerland, and players like playing there because it's beautiful and the land is nice and the places are nice.
Sure. And people love hockey.
The only one that seems to really...
not South Beach.
What's that?
And they're not in South Beach. People love hockey.
No, and the only one that seems to actually compare financially is the KHL, and there's a whole other set of problems with K. But But to answer your question, then I suppose, well, the NHL, it's hard to say. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I don't think so, because Damien Cox talks about this all the time, and I'm going to plug him for a little bit there, because, well, I already steal most of his articles, but I love Damien. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But where I'm going with this is, I think the NHL isn't going to lose its footprint there. I think the NHL is popular because hockey is popular, and because there are players from those countries in the NHL. With very few exceptions, there are no players from the NBA from most European countries. There are some exceptions, sure, but it's got to be less. I doubt it's more than 10%. And
that's what I was
NFL has virtually zero. Virtually zero.
Yes, that's what I was going to say to you, Scott. I think the problem with the NHL, and it may not hurt them in the near future or even for a while, is that they seem so Bettman seems so focused on wanting to grow the sport in the southern states and get that big NBC deal. You know, he really talks about
finally got it. I don't know how he did it, but he actually got it.
Yeah, but that stuff is what they're focusing all their extra momentum and time in. They believe that's the stuff that's worth spending time on. So, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Bettman anyway. This topic made me laugh, Scott. I actually read this article. Braves boycotted Chipper Jones' first pitch in the NLDS. What do you think of this? Did you read the article? Did you hear what happened?
Oh my God. So, yeah, for those of you, our listening public, who aren't aware, Chipper Jones, Atlanta Braves Hall of Famer, well, will be, legend, they bring him out to throw the first pitch of the playoff game this year. But he went on radio earlier in the day or week or what have you and said that he thought the Dodgers would win the series in 4. By the way, they did. Chipper knows baseball. But because because he didn't pick Atlanta, he had to throw to the mascot, not McCann or any of the other Braves. They wouldn't even watch it, let alone catch it. Petty, petty, petty. Man up, go prove him wrong. Don't refuse to catch a ball from a Hall of Fame legend of your club.
But Scott, if you know that you're going to throw a ceremonial first pitch in a playoff game in the building that you were such a huge part of for all those years, where Chipper Jones was the face of that franchise for a long time.
God, what, 15 years?
Along with a few other guys named Maddox and Glavine and such that no big deal. But Chipper was an MVP Hall of Famer, like you said, for a long time. Like, he may believe, and he was correct, like you said,
he nailed it.
The Dodgers were going to win. But why would you go on a radio station right before throwing out a ceremonial pitch in that building and say that? Like, what did you think was going to happen? I'm not saying that they should have all. I'm not saying that they should have all in the dugout and cried on each other's shoulders. But you would at least think you're going to be getting a talking to from some people there, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, really, come on. Does anyone really have a problem with this? That's Chipper being Chipper. The guy's had a mouth on him his whole life. He's not getting paid to play baseball anymore. I feel like at this point he should be able to, look, okay, no one's going to beat the Dodgers. I'll say it right now because I am clearly an expert on baseball, and I am an oracle, and I forecast nothing but accuracy. So I will tell you now that the Dodgers will win the World Series. Yasiel Puig will almost cost them Game 7, and then he will hit some miraculous bases-clearing Joe Carter home run in walk-off fashion to win it.
Is it always that exciting in your head?
You don't really want to go there. It's a scary place, buddy.
Anyway, I know what you're saying. They were definitely being petty, but at the same time, Chipper should use his head a little bit, maybe show a little class in that situation.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. But, I mean, if we're going to ask Chipper to start showing class, I mean, we're a little late.
Yeah. All right, buddy.
Sorry, Chipper. I know you listen, buddy.
Yeah. You need to stop calling us, by the way. Okay.
2 thumbs up, buddy.
We're good?
We good.
Sweet. So where did we get there? Did I get the title out to you or no?
No, just read it again.
Okay. When are we ready? All right. So, Falcons are 1-4. Jones gone for the season. Are they going to trade Tony Gonzalez, or do they trade Tony Gonzalez to the Chiefs?
I kind of really, really hope so. I mean, this
not happening.
Not happening. They're 1-4. Their season's over. They're not catching New Orleans, and they're not getting.
Don't believe that yet, though.
And this is why the NFL needs to move. Yeah, I know. What are they? Yeah. What else is going to say? Well, I'm Matt Ryan, and I'm giving up on this team. No,
well, actually, Tony Gonzalez said he would not accept the trade.
Baloney. He would accept a trade to Kansas City.
He said he is too far along in his career. He doesn't want to go somewhere else and learn a whole new system when he's ready to retire. He's 37.
Mm-hmm.
And then the team come out and said that they had no interest in trading him.
Tony Gonzalez wanted to retire like 3 years ago, but he keeps hanging on. And you know why? Because he wants a win in the playoffs. I think he finally got one. But he wants a ring, okay? The guy is second to Jerry Rice alone in receiving. That's it. He's blown everyone else out, okay? And Kansas City, it's not like you're sending him to the middle of nowhere where he's never been. And it's Kansas City. They would vote for him there.
Are they 5-0?
They 5-0? Yeah, they're 5-0. And they played 13 years there, and they got Andy Reid at coach. And I think they're going to be an absolute one and done in the playoffs because I'm not drinking the red Kool-Aid because I'm not sold on Alex Smith. But I think that this is too good to not happen, which means it won't.
Too good to not happen, which means it won't happen.
It's destiny. But the NFL has a blockade on destiny. They don't allow it.
But let me ask you this, Scott. You have a lot more knowledge on some of the ins and outs of this than I do anyway. Is there no trade clauses or any of these kinds of things in the NFL? Or can a player just come right out and say, I don't want to be traded? What?
Sure, he could say that because you know what Tony Gonzalez can do is just not report and retire.
Yeah.
But
so essentially he's got a no trade clause.
Yeah, he could say it. But the other thing is the Chiefs are on record now saying, well, I like my draft picks. Well, yeah, all GMs love their 7th round picks. And they make them make the team whether they deserve to or not. And you find some nice players in later rounds. But if you're loading up for a Super Bowl run, you're a 5-0 team, you've got to compete with Peyton freaking Manning. And you don't really have a tight end of any repute on your team. And you got a chance to bring back a legend of your franchise. This isn't a hired gun. This is a guy who only left because it looked like it was going to take so long before they were good again, he wasn't still going to be playing. It looked like he was going to Atlanta for like a year, and that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, they seem to have talked him into not retiring, so maybe he's enjoying himself.
They keep doing that, but I think he's actually done this year. I really do.
Well, if he doesn't want to be traded, maybe he is.
Maybe. Well, what do we got next up on the docket there? I think we want to... Do we have time to talk about Team Canada's jerseys?
Yeah, I think... Yeah.
What has Nike done? I mean, come on. Have you seen these jerseys?
I have. We definitely don't need to spend a lot of time on this one, Scott, because I just think it's a complete miss. I think they're horrible.
Oh, I love them.
And you know, I'm pretty... What?
Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. They're awful.
And you know, I'm pretty easy going on jerseys. You're the jersey Nazi. You're the one who doesn't like all...
I'm the Jersey National Socialist.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough. But I just think that they look horrible. I think all three look horrible.
Yeah, not a good one.
The white jersey looks like a long sleeve shirt you buy at a Value Mart or something. You know, and then just throw the Canada logo on the front. Not even a Canada logo, some makeshift logo flag thing.
God, you know what this all started, eh? Because the Olympics decided that you can't use your national federation logo. You can't use the Hockey Canada logo on the jersey because they want a Special Olympic jersey because they want to sell Special Olympic jersey. And Nike, God bless their souls, they do some really creative stuff, and they're very innovative with jerseys, and they've done some good work. God help me, I actually like the Russian jersey. The American one I thought was just kind of weak, and the Canadian one is like, Phil Knight, come on, buddy. This is like something Oregon would wear. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. And I'm
actually going to interrupt you there. I'm going to interrupt you because I don't even want to talk about this anymore. It's making me upset.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Making me upset.
Then I'll bring up the next thing, my friend.
You please do.
Corey Schneider will make his return to Vancouver tonight. So has it already happened? May have.
It's happening because it's
West Coast. Happening. Is this a story or is it finally over? You go.
It's a story because it's been a story for so long, but I do believe unless New Jersey and Vancouver meet in the Stanley Cup Finals, which has as much chance as happening as the Leafs signing me and me carrying them to the finals, that would be the final chapter, but barring that, this is it. Corey Schneider walks in, he skates around, he either gets booed or waves to the crowd, probably both because it's Vancouver and they eat their own.
Yes.
You know,
I don't think it should be a story, but
yeah, I don't think it should be, but I think it is because the soap opera's been so long.
Well, I was actually agreeing with what you're saying. I don't think it should be a story, but being that it is Vancouver, and really the story should be Mike Gillis and how he butchered that situation.
Oh my! How does he still have a job? Him and Paul Holmgren should be golfing right now.
You know, I don't wish bad things on many people, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying like horrible life things.
We're just hoping for unemployment.
I was actually thinking that once he traded Corey Schneider, after the way he handled everything and the way Luongo tried to handle everything, I almost wish that Schneider would have got traded, and then Luongo would have said, "I'm sitting out till you trade me." That would have made me very happy.
Oh, that could have been a real piece of work. That could have.
You know what it is, Scott? At the end of the day, it's the same as way back in, I believe, our first podcast. We were talking about, when we were talking about Alex Rodriguez, and the thing I like about him least is arrogance. And Mike Gillis is arrogant.
What has Mike Gillis done? Who has he brought to Vancouver?
He re-signed the Sedins to the exact same contract because they said so.
Yeah, that every other GM in hockey would have done. Okay, next.
Yeah, I
He
don't really
signed
know what
a
else.
big Luongo deal. Wasn't that Gillis? Didn't he dig himself into that freaking hole?
Which
when he
part?
had
The trading for Luongo or the...
No. Trading for Luongo was a good idea. That was a Dave Nonis idea. Signing him to a 10-year deal when you have Corey Schneider ready and waiting in the wings was a Mike Gillis.
Yeah, there's... well, it's hard to really fault him because there's been a lot of those deals. That's just another one of them. The problem with it is, as a goalie, you know, and teams wanting to get younger and so on and so forth, yeah, he really dug himself into a hole. Maybe if he would have got lucky, the guy could have retired and gone over and played in Russia like his contract never existed, and then it wouldn't have been a problem.
Comrade, you just hit the money on the head there, bud.
Okay. This one is an interesting... I was reading about this the other day. I had a little rant with my friend.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Flyers fired Peter Laviolette. Why and why now?
Why indeed is not the question, okay? That team disappointed last year because Paul Holmgren has been in win-now mode for 3 years, and that is unsustainable. Okay, so they traded away Carter and Richards and watched them win a Stanley Cup. Okay, at least they got something for that. They give $20 million to Brizgalov for 2 seasons, and then have to buy him out for another 30, I think, for nothing. Oh, and by the way, because he was on the bench, because they wanted him off the bench and on the ice, they traded away Officer Bobrovsky, who goes and wins the Vezina Trophy.
Yep.
And they traded him for virtually nothing. I think a second and a fourth. And their draft record has been terrible the last 5 years.
Scott, you know what the problem is at the end of the day? And it's kind of a problem now. It never used to be a problem. Is Philadelphia is a very, very, very proud organization with a strong history, and they believe that you come in. They believe that you come in there and you have this Philadelphia attitude, the Broad Street Bullies. And you do things a certain way.
That's right.
And the problem is that is also what gets them in trouble. They don't accept, and I'm going back as far as Bobby Clark, not just Paul Holmgren. Ed Schneider's in there as well.
Yeah.
They don't accept even like just subpar. It has to be all now or nothing. Like, why would you sign Carter and Richards for all that money and then trade them? And then bring in a goalie as a drastic measure to show the fans that you're still that proud organization. And then when it doesn't work, buy him out and then get mad at us when we question why you fire Peter Laviolette, who actually, in my opinion, is a very good coach. But yes,
guy's got a ring.
But he's got a pretty talented team in front of him that really has underachieved. They really have. But it's a joke.
I question that. Are they still that talented a team outside of Claude Giroux?
I think if you look down the core of their team, they have a lot of good pieces. Maybe they need a bit more high end, but it's not a far cry from the team that had Yager that did so well just a handful of years ago. 2 years ago?
2 years ago. But let the old man walk, and he's still producing.
They did. But they have some good young pieces in place. They need to just relax and let it happen. Like Sean Couturier had one really good year, and he had the sophomore jinx, and now they're not sure what to do. I don't know.
You know what I think happened? I think, and they got lucky because they were so bad after the lockout. But they had the Leaf mentality: spend, 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 and then spend a little more just in case. Yeah. Now, they were so bad coming out of the lockout, they made one of the last great bonanza bonus deadline deals when they shipped Forsberg out of town for essentially 4 first-round draft picks for an aging rental Forsberg. Okay, you've never seen a trade deadline deal like that since.
No.
And you know they got Van Riemsdyk number 2 overall. They had Carter and Richards in the draft. You know, they had a pipeline, and that was a tough one to screw up. And they did really well with that. But since they drafted Van Riemsdyk, Richards, and Carter, they haven't hit a whole lot. And
they've done well in trades. They've done well in some trades.
In trades, but they always end up taking salary in those trades, and which is why they've been cap hell for 3 years.
You got to remember, part of those trades, I believe, Hartnell from Nashville, Colburn from Nashville. You know,
yeah.
Like they gave up some young pieces in that deal too. I believe Scotty Upshaw was part of that deal.
Yeah.
But they have some good core pieces there, and most of the guys that are playing well for them are the guys that came over in the Richards and Carter trades. Wayne Simmons is a solid hockey player. Braden Shen's learning as he goes. Jacob Voracek's playing quite well. You know, they have some pieces there that are doing all right. I just think it's a joke that they would wait until 3 games into a season and then let a guy walk the plank like that. Like, it's just classless by an organization that prides himself on being somewhere in the middle of class and less.
Somehow we got off, should they have fired Laviolette 3 games this season, just started ripping on the Flyers organization. Which we shouldn't do because, you know what, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, let's rip on Philly.
You know what? At the end of the day, it's the same as we were talking about the other day about the New York Rangers. They don't seem to have any patience for anything, so they always think spending some money and putting in a new face is going to change everything. But in the press conference, they're asking Ed Schneider, and he's already pissed off before he even gets in the press conference, if they need to change the culture. And he's saying, no, we don't need to change the culture. No, we think our culture's just fine.
Our culture is winning.
Yeah, so then just say it. You didn't know what else to do. You got nothing else to trade, so you just fired the coach. Just to do something. If he was on such a short leash, nobody should ever be on that. It's like an Ivan Halenko firing. Oh, and you want to talk about having your your predictions for the Super Bowl and all that? I actually said to my buddy here the other day that I bet you Laviolette doesn't have a long time left there if Philly doesn't pick up their socks. Might have been during the Leaf game, actually. I didn't think it was going to happen in 3 games because I have more class than that. But happened nonetheless.
Yeah, that's Philly.
He'll get a job. As soon as Tortorella gets fired, he'll get a job there.
Yeah, the clock is ticking on Tortorella already.
Oh, you bet it is.
Do we have time to squeeze in a little CFL talk? We have time for that, don't we?
I think so.
Let's get the ball rolling here. For those of you unaware, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were 8-1 for the first time in their 90-some-odd year history. Never been 8-1 before. That was pretty freaking good. Then, I moved to Western Canada, and they go 0-4 since Labor Day. They lost the Banjo Bowl and then lost 3 more in a row. Corey Sheets, who was on pace for over 2,000 yards earlier this year, till he missed 2 games, is back, and he just looks like he's running like a bat out of hell. He's been fantastic. This week, Friday night, he was great. They're going all in by trading for Alex Hall, the league's leader in sacks.
A rental player in the CFL.
A rental player in the CFL. Welcome to, we love rentals in Canada. That's what we do. So the Grey Cup is in Regina. For those of you who didn't pass Canadian geography, that is the capital of Saskatchewan. Population 190,000-ish, and most of them wear green on Sundays. Are the Riders going all the way? Can they do this? Is the CFL a league where they're just starting to rig it so the host city makes it? This would be 3 years in a row if the Riders can win it.
Well, the Riders seem like they have the right idea. They understand the chance they have,
They do.
To play a Grey Cup at home. And I think they're trying to take advantage of it by adding a few pieces, but CFL, crazy things happen.
It does.
And the craziest things always happen in the Grey Cup. Every year, there's always something.
Any league where Toronto can win a championship, it's a crazy league.
Yes, that's a good point. Well, you remember, what was it, 5 years ago when the Alouettes and might have been Saskatchewan? No, it wasn't.
Oh, the 13th man on the field?
No, not that one. The one where they were kicking the ball back and forth down the field in overtime there.
Oh, yeah.
Craziness. And then, yes, I was in trade school with a guy who was on that Saskatchewan Roughriders team. And they don't like to talk about that too much, my friend.
Can we bring him on to the show? Can we get him on?
I would like to. His name is Scott Gordon. He played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders for about 9 years. He's a really
Scotty
nice
Gordon,
guy.
friend of the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's a real good guy. I was in plumbing trade school with him. He's actually a licensed plumber now because he makes more money plumbing than he did playing in the CFL.
That
But,
happens.
yeah, he's got a few kids. He's got his family there out in. He lives in Barhaven, outside of Ottawa.
Oh, look at
And,
that.
yeah, I keep in touch with him whenever I'm in Ottawa. So maybe I'll ask him sometime if he's willing to listen to some silly guys talk about sports.
Oh, I'll bet
He told me stories about training with Zach Bogosian before he even signed his big money.
You have mentioned that. You did name drop that one time. I
Yes,
remember
and
that.
he also mentioned how they like to bug Chris Getzlaff.
Oh,
Quite a
yeah.
bit. They like to bug him about being the brother who picked the wrong sport.
Yeah.
Because Ryan's
And who
making
thought-
$8 million a
any
year
other-
in the NHL, and Chris is making $200,000 or whatever, $80,000 or whatever he makes in the CFL.
Yeah. Meanwhile, if they were born in America, Chris Getzlaff, he'd gone to the NFL, he'd be making more money. It's just the way the cards are played, isn't it?
But anyway, I don't know. I think it'd be a nice Cinderella story if they were able to win the cup.
Yeah.
They seem to be trying their best, which is nice to see as an organization.
Trust me,
adding some
province would
pieces and such.
erupt. For those of you who don't know, I'm living in Saskatchewan right now. This province would erupt.
It's a whole
In a-
different level of football there, right?
Green, ash-filled. The streets would run green.
It's a whole different
Yep.
level of football there, eh, Scott, compared
Oh,
to compared to over here.
Like, I've lived in Alberta too. And it's big there. I'd say, it's right behind the NHL, but in Regina, I mean, it's riders or go home. Like,
Yeah, that's it, eh?
it's crazy.
Well, it's nice to see some passion for that sport.
Yep.
CFL. Go CFL.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks again for listening to yet another edition of the Naughty Seal podcast.
The Scott
I'm
Neal.
Claymore.
Thumbs up.
Who are you, Neil?
I enjoyed myself, Scott. It's nice to be Skyping and chatting about sports with you on our 4th edition of the Naughty Seal with Scotty and Neil podcast.
Yeah, we're not going to Super Bowl this forever. We hope to reach so many podcasts where we stop counting, but I honestly wonder that I can see us getting to like 148 and still keep track. So.
We'll definitely keep track. We're stats guys, Scott. That's what we do.
That's what we do. You can always find us at yeahsportsnetwork.com. Join, become a member. You can write your own blog. It won't get read as often as mine because I'm kind of a Twitter... What's a nice word for troll? There isn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, Scott writes articles almost every second day. I was starting to write a fair bit of articles, but I'm in trade school doing schoolwork. So when I'm done, I'll start writing articles quite a bit again. But if you want to read informative articles about just about anything you can think of, check out Scott Claymore at yeahsportsnetwork.com.
2 thumbs up. All right. Peace out, buddy.